Coming up on today's After News, Bobby Lashley done with WWE soon, and there's backstage AEW interest.
Deonna Purazzo shoots on MJF Britt Baker row.
There's possible Britt Baker involvement in Cody Rhodes' AEW exit.
And WWE lets go another long-standing executive.
I'm Michael Hamflett.
And I'm Phil Chambers.
And this is the After News.
Yeah,
and we end this week the way we started it, talking about Bobby Lashley's potential WWE departure. It was one of the kind of hottest stories at the start of this week, as speculation mounted that he was going to be finished with WWE, there were no more creative plans for him, all that sort of stuff. And that has continued in earnest as we come to the weekend. Fight for Select have come through with the latest update, noting obviously that with the contract being up soon and MVP's contract already expired, Bobby Lashley now isn't far off the exit door either. Based on what Fight for Select sources have been told, Sean Ross Sapp was able to confirm that the contract is indeed up this weekend. They added in the report that there was people they spoke to at SummerSlam backstage were very much under the impression that he was going to be leaving the company, that there was going to be no more creative plans for him, anything like that. You know, he's kind of had mixed fortunes at best, truthfully, under Triple H. And ever since then, there's been backstage discussions in All Elite Wrestling since word of the contract status emerged. However, no offer has been made, as obviously Bobby Lashley remains under contract. You can't do that, but this weekend could be the time. The report goes on to say that we're told that Lashley has already had interest from the fighting world and in Japan. Those close to him believe he will make at least an appearance in AEW and say he's ready to return to TV.
Interesting. Yeah, kind of came out of the blue this one earlier this week. He very much felt like a WWE guy.
Yeah.
And he was never really on the radar of the sort of big potential jumps.
No.
Until he was. And now he very much is.
How it goes,
and
isn't it?
I'm kind of into it.
Yeah.
The idea of someone the size of Bobby Lashley and like that kind of stands out within the AEW product a little bit. They've not been great at doing muscle men things in the past.
Yeah.
Like it's been kind of hit and miss with like the Wardlows and Nick Cages of the world.
Yeah.
But it'd be very interesting to see what Bobby Lashley ends up doing in an AEW system.
I wonder if like a Bobby Lashley would reflect the need for a more sort of sophisticated way of making a deal. Like I would like to see Bobby Lashley for a good time, not a long time. I don't know if the traditional come in, maybe get a 3-year or 5-year deal and just become part of the furniture is necessarily the play for Bobby Lashley. Maybe keep him as an impact guy, almost like an out of nowhere. Jesus, Bobby like we've just been talking about the excitement around the Casino Gauntlet, someone like a hologram getting to make an appearance. What if, or like a Bobby Lashley or a Ricochet is available for that? Enormous response in Wembley. Just absolutely blow your mind out of nowhere. Him! Jesus Christ. And then like you can drop him into a title program, he can be this serious threat to pretty much any belt, and there's plenty of them in that company. And then have him phased back and then just bring him back again when you need him. You know, I wouldn't mind.
The Brock Lesnar format.
Kind of, yeah.
Like Brock Lesnar in WWE, you brought him in, he does a big run.
Yeah.
It's great, and then disappears.
Value is maintained.
Yeah. That'd be a much more interesting prospect, I think. And then like, I mean, just the idea of like Bobby Lashley versus like a Darby Allin or something like that is just...
Oh my God. Yeah, you kind of... All right.
I really want to see it.
All right, what am I saying? There's probably like 20 guys you want to see him rough up, so maybe you do put him on a long run. I don't know.
But no, I think it is time for AEW to mix up the model of how they hire people, and maybe this is the one. Let's say, get him on a 6-month contract, let's do a great run, let him go off, do like New Japan stuff or whatever in the meantime, and then get him a bit later for another 6-month contract or something like that. Let's try something a little bit different. Let's give wrestlers off seasons so you can keep them fresh within TV.
He does love Bobby Lashley as well.
Exactly.
You want to have a look at that, don't you?
But let us know down in the comments who you would want Bobby Lashley to face in AEW first. There's a lot of very interesting matchups.
Yeah.
But moving over to, well, still with AEW, but Deonna Purazzo has been talking to Stephanie Chase about the Britt Baker MJF sort of backstage argument thing that led to Britt Baker's suspension from AEW TV. Now, it's a long quote, but I'm just going to do it all because I don't want to misquote her or anything. But she just says that I think this was just one incident that sparked a lot of drama and also kind of took on a life of its own. The rumour mill starts going and then things aren't as they were. You know what I mean? People add their 2 cents and make it way bigger than it was. I think this was an isolated incident because everything else that I've experienced in this locker room is supportive, is encouraging, is a lot of camaraderie. We recently just had people's birthdays and had birthday cakes and sang songs. I feel like this locker room doesn't get as much credit as it deserves for that type of camaraderie. I don't know what it was like before. I can only speak to my experiences, but I feel like it doesn't get enough credit that it deserves. Now, obviously, Deonna Purazzo has only been in AEW for 2024. She started in January, so she can only speak from January till now.
Yeah.
Not like historically or anything, but it's definitely a different side of the locker room that we often hear from in AEW.
It doesn't hurt for a talent to be coming out and say this, does
not
it?
at all.
Kind of putting the head above the parapet. I think it was Chris Statlander posted the birthday cake pictures from earlier this week, and presumably what Deonna was referring to. Even in the reporting of the stuff that came out in the wash with the Britt Baker and MJF drama, there was still like he said, she said elements to it.
And a lot of things like of people that they spoke to was like, yeah, we just want this to be over with.
Yeah.
Like, it's a thing that happened, they got in an argument, let's just move past it.
If by the time it makes it to like idiots like us on the internet to aggregate it, hands have probably been shook. Punishments have been doled out. Everyone's trying to move on, But the kind of like telephone, telegram, tele-wrestler side of things meant that when it did come out, it was going to come out in 50 different ways. There was going to be 50 different takes on it.
Yeah.
Kind of as any like incident in your life would. You know, think about any situation that happened to you a week, a month, a year ago, and how you would tell that story versus how somebody else in the same room at the same time would tell that story. And there's going to be tiny differences. Yeah. It's kind of human nature. Yeah. So it's kind of nice that I think Deonna Purazzo wants to come out and talk about that. And I guess like. Especially in light of like Britt Baker not being on television via satellite this week, so we presumably were seeing the consequences of those actions still play out on television this week. Britt Baker set to return to television in a live setting next week, so that really will be, I guess, the whole thing done and dusted.
Line drawn under it.
Yeah, neither MJF or Britt Baker will miss All In. There'll be no ramifications on that match, and hopefully and presumably things can move forward from there.
Yeah.
But why move forward when you can live in the past, Phil? Because there's some more drama related to Britt Baker.
I was literally just going to say, it's the nature of news that you never get the sort of nice side of things, and then look at this guy.
Yes, sorry guys. But Conan's digging up the past, and this is kind of relevant because we are talking about Britt Baker, we are talking about AEW locker rooms, potentially the differences between the present and the past, and this could be quite a big one, because he was speaking on his Keep It 100 podcast, and he just dropped like a casual nugget of information that kind of made everybody go, what, excuse me? Like, and it's to do with Cody Rhodes and his exit from AEW. And he said, I'll read the quote and then we'll kind of try and contextualise it a little bit. He said, one of the reasons Cody left amongst many was there were problems between Brandy, and that being Brandy Rhodes, and Britt Baker. Tony always takes her side, you'll find out one day, her being Britt Baker. Now, obviously, in this case, Britt Baker has been punished and MJF went punishment-free. So maybe that element of it is not quite as accurate in this 2024
maybe that's just a version of this that now has the disciplinary committee instead of Tony Khan.
True, yeah.
Speculation.
All of this is speculation. You know, this is something that Conan has said. He's obviously had ins with AEW in the past. He speaks to a gazillion wrestlers and take what you want from any of this. But it's just... Cody always was extremely coy about the exit from AEW, and when little bits of information do get out, even then, he's kind of protective of the specificity of the story. He'll say things like, it was a personal issue, or whatever, but he never goes deeper than that. Well, this would certainly classify as a personal issue, wouldn't it? So it just feels like two things here, I guess, collaborating into one. Number one, obviously a prior incident related to Britt Baker as we kind of continue to pick the bones of this MJF drama, and the almost like never-ending curiosity about what went on in those last days with Cody Rhodes and AEW.
Yeah, and I feel like that will never end until Cody Rhodes says what happens in those last days.
One side says out and out, it was this.
Something happened. Like 100% something happened.
Beyond money, beyond...
beyond something else. Beyond like creative, beyond the usual business side of things. Or it just wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Like he had too much invested in that company to just be like, actually, I'm just going to move on. The speculation will be surrounding it until we find it out one day, which I guess maybe Cody writes a tell-all book one day or something.
Yeah.
But he's also never seems like the kind of guy to burn bridges and air his dirty laundry in public. He's
not a burial guy, is he?
No. He's always been like within the sort of wrestling media landscape, quite respectful and sort of careful about snippets of information that he lets slip.
And, you know, I always like using the Cody thing as an example because ultimately, look how everything has turned out for most people involved. Even if we're talking about Britt Baker here. Like, Cody Rhodes continues to be this massive star in WWE where his move has turned out fine. Britt Baker continues to be a huge star, will work. like one of the biggest box office women's matches in AEW history, deservedly so, at Wembley against Mercedes Moné, MJF, part of that drama. We'll wrestle with Ospreay, another one of the biggest matches. It's going to be a huge show at Wembley.
It is
going
to be a huge show.
And I can only think of 2 ways to make that day even better. One of them would be joining us at the Crystal Club at 12 till 1:30 for a What Culture Wrestling live show. It's going to feature all of us and, more importantly, Simon Miller. Don't want to forget that one. Who I believe was in action against Danhausen last night. Keep your eye on live how that one turned out.
Cannot wait to see that.
Oh man, maybe he'll tell some stories about that at the live show indeed.
Maybe he will. Talk about getting cursed.
The cool thing about that, other than obviously getting to see us live and at whatculture.com/tickets where you can buy merchandise, including the ups and downs foam fingers, is that the venue, the Crystal Club, is mere minutes away from Wembley Stadium. Like the idea of a pint before Wembley, but hate us, buy a ticket anyway and you've basically got the perfect location to have your pre-all-in drinks. And speaking of drinks around all-in, after all-in and after you've seen Miller and Wilborn do their amazing videos outside of Wembley Stadium, get back to the Crystal Club for Sweet Chin Disco. It's a wrestling-themed club night featuring Prince Nana, Max Caster, our very own Adam Wilborn as host, possibly some more guests that we should make you want to get your tickets sooner rather than later.
Limited availability on tickets for the Sweet Chin Disco thing. Get them while you can, because they will sell out.
This is not hyperbole, this is not sales patter, we are not exaggerating. If you type Crystal Club in on Google Maps, you will see Wembley next to it. It is
literally
that close.
on the corner.
There is no better place to have your drinks, your food and your fun times either side of All In than spending it with us, spending it with Sweet Chin Disco. It's going to be a magic day for UK wrestling and all of you guys that want to join us.
They also promised me £5 pants. Whether that happens or not is, in bloody
In
Wembley.
London?
In London.
Wembley?
In London.
Wembley? Us little northerners getting told out our gruel, but one more pint, please, London.
I have more beer.
It's going to be class.
It is, yeah. Links to both in the comments below, in the pinned comments and the description.
One time, Ben Roy, if you're hearing me as you're editing this, please, as I do this with my hand, whatculture.com/tickets. We'll see if that shows up in the edit.
We'll soon find out.
Yeah.
But last story. This is the last story. It is me, yeah. WWE, what are they doing? They are, another long-standing executive has been let go by WWE. Now, sort of recently, over the past few months, they've been kind of whittling down some of the executives in their system, let's say. So over the past year, the executive vice president of live events, John Porco, has been released. The executive vice president of talent relations, Dan Ventrell, and the senior vice president of athlete ID and development, Brent Wilfinger, have all left the company. But now they also have the vice president of talent relations, Kristen Altman, has also left the company. This is being reported by PW Insider. Now they got the job in 2022. They've been with WWE since 2007. They started as a receptionist, which is quite the journey up to vice president of talent relations. But they have been in the vice president of talent relations since 2022. I wonder what else happened in 2022 and why they might have needed new people. But yeah, this is just another in a seemingly long list of sort of WWE higher up executives that they are having a little bit of a clean out.
Yeah, when the TKO merger first happened, it was, and you know, I always think of just the staff who do quote unquote normal jobs when they say, I've lived through a takeover of a company before and it is brutal, it's a bloodbath ultimately.
Like all of the departments that you can merge, you will merge and lots of people will be gone.
And these billionaires don't care for people and people lose jobs and it's all very, very sad. So there was always going to be the case where that would occur at every level of both businesses ultimately. But certainly in 2023 and 2024, there feels like a move to see a lot of these people with a lot of big titles move on, and it does, of course, feed speculation about maybe the hows and whys of why there would be changes made, knowing that things that are taking place, outside of the company and outside of the TKO branding are always going on. It's let's just separate that from what I'm about to say because it could be completely unrelated, but let us never take away from the fact that the lawsuit is not just against Vince McMahon and John Laurinaitis, but it is also against WWE.
Yes, and obviously this is a system that allowed this to happen at one point in time. The nastiness trickles down from the top.
This could be totally unrelated.
This could be completely unrelated. Completely unrelated. But you've got to speculate these things. Just when you're piecing things and putting two and two together. But yeah, wild speculation on that part. But yeah, they are definitely having a bit of clear out.
Yes. And how am I going to segue this? If you want to have a clear out of all the difficult things in your brain, why not watch more videos on the app that you're watching this on? But how would one describe the ability to move from what we're doing right now to one of the other videos down the side panel available?
You could go on a journey.
Could you, Phil?
You could continue on your YouTube journey right here. Bye-bye now.